We have a meat sheep business which was started with white Dorper ewes in 2016 and crossing them with Australian white rams. In 2015 we were destocked. All our merinos were sent away on agistment or sold. We fenced the property while we had no livestock in 15, and that led then to thinking about alternatives. We'd also had sheep on agistment. They had also been accidentally joined to meat sheep rams, and that was probably a part of the idea as well.
So probably the main reason we went into meat sheep was looking at the meat sheep as being a very sustainable animal that's well adapted to this climate, this drying climate. You wanted to utilise the feed that was the gidgee trees on our property. The Dorper sheep were a sheep who could use the browse as well as the grass and the herbage. We have used the Australian white rams. We find they're quite a calming influence on the Dorpers, and they're quite good at strengthening up the sheep, especially the front quarters of the sheep that can break down.
Some cattle producers are finding it too expensive to keep in the cattle market, especially buying steers to grow out. So quite a few around here, and especially those that have got timbered country, gidgee country, have gone into goats as an alternative. People are starting to show a lot of interest in it. As far as changing from merinos to meat sheep was seen by traditionally as what would you do that for? And people have been noticing then, looking at Oxygen Plus results and what the sheep are bringing. And when there's a blowfly outbreak, which hasn't been, it's rare, but it happens in merinos. Everyone says, do your sheep get fly blown? No, they don't. We're not mulesing. People are very interested, yeah.
I think there's a great future for meat sheep in this particular area. We are able to run our operation without having to depend on a shearing team to come in and shear or a team to come and crutch. We're able to manage all the livestock ourselves.
Meat sheep are more drought tolerant. Even in a protein drought, when you have a lot of grass, it gets spoilt by light rain or a frost. The meat sheep don't notice that there is a protein drought happening. They still continue to raise lambs and maintain their weight.
We find they're really good mothers. They're very productive ewes. They'll often have many singles, but there'll be many twins, triplets. We've even had one particular ewe who's raised quads a couple of years in a row, and it's just extraordinary watching her walk along. She's constantly checking 1, 2, 3, 4 lambs, walks a bit further, they're just beautiful mothers. We have a lot of confidence in them as not just having a lamb, but raising a lamb.
The ewes tend to produce a lot of milk. It's just amazing how big their udders can be. And through those tougher times, they keep producing. So the lambs are always strong and goers.
Resilient.
The ewes in the meat sheep can weigh 70 and 80 kilos each. So they've high demand on the grass available or the browse. They produce singles, twins or triplets, and straight away their lactation need is huge. So it took us a little while to get our head around that that lightening off in numbers was a necessity. Otherwise you've gone from a paddock full of grass to nothing left because of their demands.
We are organically certified. We record every time we move the animals. We keep a record of our livestock numbers all the time. We do vaccinate our sheep, and we also use an anaesthetic agent when we're marking the lambs and docking the tails. We've had to get permission from the organic certifiers. So we have to keep a lot of evidence of what we do, keep a lot of data.
There was a market that we've put some sheep into, servicing restaurant trade, and they particularly wanted Australian whites only because of some of their patrons were saying that the other meats a bit more gamey in flavour, and the Aussie white doesn't have that.
I love the challenge of a change. I love the challenge of learning something new, thinking where will this go. It's fantastic to be working with our kids because they bring in new ideas, they push us to use more technology. There's always a range of different views. So quite often we'll approach something and one of the kids might say, well, why don't we do it this way? And we have a think and we go, that's great. I feel it's an industry that's really going to grow. The demand for protein will never go away, and we feel that's a really positive driver.